This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When I was walking that ribbon highway, I saw above me the endless skyway.
Saw below me a golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. All right, take a seat.
Sands of the diamond desert,
and all around me a voice was calling. This land was made for you and me. Everybody now. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
Come on now, what's happening? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 416. Often imitated, never duplicated. I hope everybody's well out there. This land is your land. This land is my land. Now more poignant than ever. I know what you're thinking. Like, I look for any excuse to put some Grateful Dead stuff on the punk rock show, but I couldn't resist. And that particular version of that song always really, 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 really resonated with me. Like, I get choked up when I see Los Lobos and Garcia and Weir are doing that. It really resonates with me, that particular version. So that's what I wanted to start the show off with today. That said, let's bring our Wednesday cohort on the show. Lori Dawn,
hello,
what's
everyone.
up?
Just trying to keep warm out here, as usual.
This land is your land.
That was pretty amazing, actually. When did that happen?
That happened, and I'll ask our guest about it. That happened, I believe, where the New England Patriots play. before I think Los Lobos was playing. Of course, was opening for the Grateful Dead,
Okay.
and they did that kind of like between the buses.
Okay.
I love how like in the moment it is. It's
like
great.
a tailgate situation there, you know?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm excited to have our guest on today. I really
Yes,
am.
me too.
You know,
A nice break. So how was everything at the A7 this weekend?
A7 was great, and
The
yeah,
return, the victorious return
the
to the
victorious return. Yeah, I got a couple pictures that Steven took. I mean, here's listen. Here's us playing. I mean, we played, and you know, it was. I mean, obviously, it's a small place.
Oh wow!
And you know, I took a beating, as usual. It's like a lot of pointers there. Like this is like a lot of pointing going on.
Yes, for
Yeah,
such a small place. I mean, somebody could have lost an eye.
You know, I think people come to our shows just to point now.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, you want to go to the Incendiary Device show tonight and like point? Like, it's like the weirdest fucking thing, you know? But it was really great. Of course, the place so rich in history. Here's a couple other shots. Well, here's one of me. This is before the show.
Okay.
Hopefully, club management doesn't particularly take offense to me standing on the couch here.
Oh my God! And your shoes? I'm taking offense.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Get on. Here I am pointing out Jamie from SSD Control, who's actually playing the next show at Non-Residents. He's in the band The Long Wait from Boston, and I'm sort of explaining the photo that I did. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
There's that part of it, and let me see what else I got. Oh, and then there was, look, Scott Earth. You know, Silence Equals Death was great.
Yeah.
Here's a shot of them. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott's finally up over the crowd.
Yeah. There you go.
That's great.
Yeah, A7 was amazing. It's great. It's great. It's great to be back there. And
God's Favorite opens up.
God's Favorite opened up, and
fantastic. Fug It.
Oh yeah, here's a shot of Fug It.
Great. Mimi.
Yeah, hold on.
I heard they killed it.
The technology's acting weird.
A little slow.
Well, no. What did I do?
Yeah, God's Favorite is on my list of bands to see.
Right.
So I keep missing them, but and I was glad to see Fug It get on that show, and Sad Plant on that show. So
yeah,
a lot of our friends.
Here's the Fuggets.
The Fuggets.
Fuggets. Yeah. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. But it's Scott is so throwable.
I was just gonna say, you got to be careful. You know, like you can really throw some around.
Standing on the furniture too. Listen, when I get wrapped up in the moment, you know, telling us a little some folklore, I get wrapped up, and I'll stand on the furniture, yo. Y'all come.
Plastic next time. You're gonna get us kicked out.
My old Jewish grandparents with the plastic covered furniture. My dad called the Jewish provincial furniture, which I found out later is I think Italian provincial. There's a couple of ethnic groups that basically they all shop at the same furniture, the plastic furniture. And in the summer you'd sit on it like your skin would stick
and you would lose like half a layer of skin when you got up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I wish I had plastic for my cats.
I think everybody should. Yeah. See, and we had the banners going and everything. Man.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Nice job. Yeah.
Not just the Jewish covered their furniture in plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Many ethnic groups did.
Not only that, I got to talk to our guest about this when he comes on. But My grandparents had a room. Not only was covered with the plastic, but you couldn't go in there.
Oh yeah.
It was like the net, and it had like, what is that? The velvet rope with the club, the thing.
Yeah.
They actually had that block off the room. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't even go in there. Yo.
Right. The living room was where nobody lived.
I remember being in that room once in my entire childhood with my grandparents.
Yeah. We were not allowed in there.
Right. Maybe they saw the future. They knew that I like standing on furniture and telling stories.
This was also before they had Scotch Guard, like that stuff that you spray on your couch. You can easily wipe it off. I think that's a great.
Yeah. Right. It was like a museum. Right. It was like a museum. The parlor was off limits. Yep. It was.
Steven did a great job on these photos.
Yeah. Yep. Right on.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I feel like I was there.
And what's the next one? In a couple weeks here we go. A couple weeks at the A7, the Magic Room, non-residents. Why Die from Philly? The Long Wait, Direct Order 82, RBNX, DJ Sid the Kid, free 16 and plus. There you go. Hey, shouting out our great sponsor, Joe Rumini of the Texas Silver Rush.
That's right.
So, listen. Yeah, there you go. So, all right. Hey, stick around. I'll pull you.
Yes, I absolutely will. It's going to be a good one today. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a good show.
Right. That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. As if you haven't guessed, we are sponsored by the Texas Silver Rush DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Woo Man of the Pit, She Devil Covered Minty Fresh, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your weak-ass clothing game at www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Bim Scala Bim. Here we go. Today's guest is an American saxophonist, keyboardist, and record producer hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As a musician, in his incredibly proficient career, he is known for his work with Los Lobos, the Blasters, the Flesh Eaters, Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs, and many, many more. As a producer, he has worked with Faith No More, the Paladins, Crash Test Dummies, and many, many more. Here today to talk to us about the long-awaited re-release of Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs, Pigus Drunkus Maximus, and a whole lot more, please welcome, coming at us from Portland, Oregon, 10-time nominated, 5-time Grammy Award winner, Mr. Steve Berlin. Hey, man. Hey.
How do I say this?
Can you hear me? What's up?
But I can't hear anything. If you can hear me, I can't hear you at all. I'm trying to get a hold of you through Josh. I can't hear anything at all.
Sign off and then come back on. Sign off.
Nothing. Zero.
You sign off and then come back on.
All right.
So, well, there you go. We don't panic on this show. Yeah, what an intro. Here he is, and no one can hear him. So I don't get my panties bunched up about anything anymore. It's like he'll make his way back on and it'll be great. So, I love it already. I love it already. Be patient, kids. If not, we'll bring Lori back on and we'll talk about the weather. So we'll be fine. Hey, what's happening up in Montreal? Very cool. We survived Googie. Right. We survived Googie. We can do anything. You getting ready?
Yes, I'm
This
getting
might turn
ready.
this might turn into your show. Hey. You're muted on your end. Somehow you muted yourself on your end. All right. Hey. I cannot hear you, man. That is odd, considering we had you fine before. Very strange. Very strange indeed. Yeah. Let me see.
Oh, no.
Hey!
There we go.
Hallelujah.
What the hell? Wow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine now.
Okay. There you go.
Woo. All right. Sorry about that.
All right. It's okay. I don't get excited or upset about anything anymore.
Good idea.
I just kind of just play it down the middle, you know.
I could learn a lot from you.
Yeah, it's nothing's worth getting upset or excited about. But I'm glad. But what matters is you're here.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
So let's chop it up a little bit. Let's bounce the ball back and forth. Let's have some fun with it.
Okay.
Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
No, it was anything but, really. No, my parents were just working people, so not really any. We had a piano, but nobody ever played it. They were into show tunes. I was a typical child of the '60s. It wasn't like, just normal second generation middle class Philadelphia household. But it was when I was coming of age, it was late '60s. So of course I was going to join a band. I mean, it's what you did back then. So that's kind of how it started, more or less. And somehow or another, I managed to stay with it. It's kind of amazing.
What was the first music? I mean, growing up in Philly in that era was, soul Philly was incredibly vibrant. But what was the first music that kind of came across your radar screen that you felt connected to?
Well, the first record I bought first two records I ever bought was Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds and Every Mother's Son. So I sort of have like a bipolar thing going on even then.
Yeah.
It was just, Philly was a good place to be. That era. It was WMMR, a great radio station.
Right.
WXPN was just starting their thing. So that was kind of like actual freeform radio. And that was amazing. And WRTI was the jazz station. So somehow or another, I just sort of bounced around between all three of those stations. And then WDAS was the Philly R&B station. So that was also hugely influential. Sure. That was a station I listened to all the time. But it was a great place to be. It was relatively small scale compared to New York, certainly. And I don't know, it just felt very accessible. I was never afraid to go anywhere or do anything. I mean, I would just go and, when I got an opportunity to play, I would. But it was a pretty great place to grow up.
What Pat Baldwin asked, what neighborhood in Philly did you grow up in?
I grew up in Abington. Where that's like the northwest corner. If you look at what's his name, Bradley Cooper's biography, sure. that's my life.
Wow!
Like he could be describing literally like down to my street almost. Like
wow.
We're literally grew up in the same exact place. Wow. Now, I don't. I'm older. I never knew him or his family, but it's just weird to hear him talk about all these places that I spent time in. Like, dude, you sure we're not the same person?
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Your Jewish kid grew up in Philly, right?
Yep, I am.
Interesting. And we'll get to that. Considering the lot that you fell in with later on, but then again, it all makes sense.
Yeah, it's music, and that's the one thing I grew up in Philly, like with the people that I played with. The notion is that you were always ready. Like you couldn't be a snob about what you did or how you played. You just had to. If there was an opportunity, you took it and played, and you did your best, and you didn't compartmentalize anything. I mean, you can certainly have the stuff you like, the stuff you didn't like, but the idea was that you were gonna play no matter what, and that's served me well all through my life. Basically, I mean, I I jumped into a lot of situations on a relatively regular basis where I had literally no idea what I was doing, but I pulled it off somehow.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why sax? What was that? Was that your first instrument you picked up?
The first instrument I picked up was flute, actually, because I was influenced by the first Jethro Tull record of all things.
Oh, hell yeah!
But through that record, I discovered Roland Kirk, who wrote "Serenade to a Cuckoo" that they covered. So through that, I more or less became kind of a jazz fan, and then I started playing soprano sax before Kenny G made it illegal.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I played for like the ensuing, like 10, 15 years or so. Could that possibly be true? Yeah, something like that. Like 10 years or so. That's all. I just played soprano, but I was running through an amplifier even then. I mean, I was very primitive electronification technology, but I was going for a sound. And then one day I was playing with some guys from Philly. They had moved to LA, and we had gotten a record deal, and we were about to start the record. And they said, if you don't show up to the rehearsal the next day with something other than a soprano, you're fired. so I started playing. So I went and got a tenor, which I still have somewhere in here. And I started playing that almost exclusively. And then I was working at a music store, and the Blasters called, and they said, do you have a baritone? We're going to do a session tonight. And I said, yes, I do, when I really didn't. So that's how I started playing baritone.
At that point, you had moved to LA, right?
Yeah, I moved to LA in the mid '70s, more or less to join this band, the Beckmeyer brothers, they've been playing around Philly, backing up a band called Soul Survivors, who had a big hit called Expressway to Your Heart. So these guys were their backup band. So the band minus the singers moved to LA and got on quite well, and they said, you got to come out here. And so I flew out. I basically arrived like Christmas Eve, '74, to LA from Philly.
That sounds like a daunting adventure.
No, it was. Are you kidding? It was back then. LA was relatively cheap. It was exciting. I mean, certainly it wasn't Philly. I mean, just waking up and seeing a palm tree, that's all I needed. I was happy, man.
Yeah.
I was just anywhere to get out of Philly.
That's exciting.
So no, it was fun. We had the band was good. We got to make a record, and then I got to learn a lot of stuff and meet a lot of people, and I was kind of off and running.
And you mentioned I mean, that was '73. You moved out there. I think
70. It was later. 70. It was like Christmas or New Year's Eve '75. I was in LA, so a little later.
So you were out there for a couple years before you kind of connected with the Blasters and
so I was I was in this other band, the Beckmeyer brothers, and so we started playing around town and got a name for ourselves, and then we actually got signed to Casablanca Records back when that was like the height of the
Neil Bogart represent, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that was it was quite an eye opener, because I mean, I got to see stuff, all kinds of stuff. Basically, I mean, that place was I mean, the stories there. It was basically like being in an open market in Bogota or something like that, because it was just like crazy shit all the time. But I was everybody else in the band was like 8 to 12 years old, 12 years older than I was, so I was sort of like baby, more or less. And the way these things happen, I mean, they kind of fell apart. Turns out they were junkies. I didn't know at first. And I could just sort of sense that there was something else going on, that this wasn't going to be where I was supposed to be. We were playing like the music of that band was, I want to say, like kind of like Boz Scaggs, Silk Degrees,
sure,
more or less, like that kind of vibe. Like it was harder. I mean, we were loud, and our guitar players were great and aggressive, but that was more or less something like a rockier version of that was the band.
Boz Scaggs,
it was Silk Degree, like that kind of vague.
Who am I thinking of? Bob Welch.
Bob Welch. Right, it was harder than that, but it was not. It wouldn't, it wouldn't be out of that category.
Sure.
But I could sense that I was kind of dying, and I started hearing about stuff going on in Hollywood. I was living in Venice at the time, and I started hearing about, well, what was effectively punk rock, I guess, and shit that was happening at the Mask. So I started investigating, and you know, I being in that era in LA, there weren't a lot of sax players, full stop, much less guys who could actually play. So before long, I was playing with a bunch of different people. But the guy who really, you know, deserves the credit for kind of introducing me to all those people is a guy named Fast Freddie Patterson, who was he had a band called the Precisions that I played with, and he was a beloved character around town. Not, you know, I don't think he would even call himself a great singer, but he was an entertainer, and the band was always fun. So we ended up on bills with the Blasters and a lot of other, like, with everybody. It wasn't like we were just playing with like R&B bands. We were playing with anybody and everybody. But that's how I met the Blasters and the X's and kind of everybody, really. And then not long after starting with him, I met Top Jimmy and started playing with him, and then I was off to the races with those guys.
What was the you mentioned, just checking, I'm just you mentioned X. Who else was part of that circuit? Was it the Plugs, X, the Knitters?
Yeah. Well, the Knitters were a long way off. So it was in the early days, for me anyway. It was more or less, you know, Fast Freddie and the Alvin Brothers, but I hadn't started playing with them yet. And then through them, I started, I guess the first experience I had with those guys before I was even in the band was I played on a record. There was a band called the Flesh Eaters. Flesh Eaters record. Chris has been a guest on the show. Oh, nice. Yes. That was Christy,
Chris,
John and Don, Dave and Bill from the Blasters, myself. Who am I forgetting? And Chris. I guess that's the whole band. So that was 79, I think.
Wow.
But that was like my first. I mean, that was my graduation. I went from middle school to high school or something.
Was the Gun Club in that mix? Jeffrey Lee Pierce?
Yeah, believe it or not. So Freddie and Jeffrey were very, very close friends, and I was actually in the band at the first Gun Club rehearsal. Like I was.
No way.
It was me, a guy named Don Snowden, who I literally just saw last week. He's living in Spain. Jeffrey, I think Kid Conco was there, and I cannot remember who the drummer was. But it was not the Gun Club. It was whatever Jeffrey was going to do.
Right.
And we were not. It wasn't us. You know, like that. I mean, that might have been like a rehearsal. But I, you know, it was. You know, I heard the songs. I mean, I heard. She's Like Heroin and some of the other stuff that became
Ghost on the Highway, shit like that.
I don't think he had Ghost on the Highway, but I mean, I just remember thinking this guy's got some shit. I mean, the songs were amazing. Yeah, so Jeffrey was, I mean, it was like, that was the Slash Records class of what, 1980 more or less. So it was all those guys.
Chris Valdez, did Steve play on the Plugs record?
Yeah, I played on the second one. So the first one was Electrify Me, and I was still am a huge Plugs fan. And then they asked me, it went from being a 3-piece to like kind of a bigger band with myself and Gustavo Santuala, who's the guy that wins every Oscar for soundtracks, and his partner Annabelle. They had just moved from Buenos Aires, so the band became really, really interesting for a couple of years. We cut a record called Better Luck, and then Gustavo went on to be like the guy, like he's producing records left. I mean, he's a really, really, really gifted producer, gifted, you know, everything. So he wasn't long for anybody's band other than his own world. But that was a great group. Valdez
says it's a shame those Plugs records haven't been reissued. Well, give it some time, Christopher.
Yeah.
Everything kind of goes back around. Everything sort of, it's all cyclical in nature, man. Art is like that. Just sort of deviate. I know it was early on, but was there any? And there was sort of that scene. Was there any like were the Circle Jerks around or Black Flag? Yeah. Did you see any of that stuff? Because that was a little heavier, right?
Yeah, a little heavier, but we would play together a lot. We played Keith is still a good friend from the Circle Jerks. I mean, We used to play with those guys. Lobos used to play with Circle Jerks all the time for some reason.
That's great. That's
and he was a
great.
fan, so he would just come and you know, be Keith, and he was a big fan of Top Jimmy's as well. So I'd see him all the time, as well as Greg and all those guys. Black Flag were kind of like the South Beach dudes, so like they
Hermoso, right?
Yeah, we were like, I guess I was in the Hollywood clique, and I was, you know, I didn't spend a lot of time down there. Like there was like Hermosa, Huntington Beach, so it was. I mean, it wasn't like the you know the you know, West Side Story where they're like rival gangs. I mean, everybody, you know, we all loved each other, but it wasn't like I would run in. I mean, I would just be out and I just run into everybody that I just mentioned. But those guys, for whatever reason, they seem to not be in the day-to-day scene that I was in. So not a lot.
It wasn't like the Sharks and the Jets, but
Sharks, there
was no animosity there.
The only animosity, to be honest, the only animosity is when we would play down there and they would, like, for some reason, especially like the Lobos days, it took a second to get accepted. Like they were not, like they kind of had like the fans, not the bands. The band, like we were always tight with the bands.
Sure.
But the fans were sort of like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, what's the deal? So we had to kind of prove it more or less when we played down there. But it wasn't like, again, it wasn't anything. It was nothing hardcore. You could tell that that we had to pass whatever imaginary test they had in mind for them to like accept us.
Sure. You mentioned Chris and Flesh Eaters. So you started kind of playing with them, and did that sort of, let's make our way to Top Jimmy. Did that sort of come before Top Jimmy? Yeah,
that was before really everything. I mean, that was before a lot of this stuff. So I was playing with Freddie, but I was playing with all these other bands. I was playing, you know, it wasn't unusual for me to have like 2 or 3 or even 4 gigs a night.
Wow.
Like, you know, 4 or 5 nights a week, just because there weren't that many sax players, and I could sort of shapeshift and adapt to, you know, I was playing with the Kraftwerk guys and the hardcore guys and, you know, the power pop guys and the ska guys. I mean, I didn't care. I was just having a blast. You know, it was just really super fun.
Yeah.
And then I guess Top Jimmy was sort of like, it's kind of hard to put a real date on it. I guess like it was such a fluid scene that like playing with Freddie and then like Jimmy was like, hey, you know, come play with us too. And I think that's, my memory serves, like kind of right when he started doing the Monday night thing at the Cafe de Grand. So that was when the lineup for Top Jimmy was always very fluid. Like sometimes Billy Zoom would be the guitar player. Sometimes, you know, it'd be somebody else. Sometimes it'd be Dave Alvin. So it was just like whoever wanted to do it. And then once Carlos Guitarlos showed up and we sort of became a set lineup, then it was no longer fluid. It was basically the band that's on the record. And that band would play. I mean, it was not unusual for us to play like 15 nights a month. If you saw, like, there's some of the flyers, if anybody gets the vinyl package, you can see the flyers that Carlos would make. And you could see, like, we were playing, I can't even believe how much we were playing. It was just insane. And
your home base was the Cafe de Grand. That was basically sort of ground zero for Top Jimmy?
It was, that started. So that lasted, I want to say, like, maybe like a year and a half or 2. And then there was like a falling out with somebody over there, and then the whole crew moved to Raji's, which was like 3 blocks away. So everybody that was like all the people that were at Cafe moved 3 blocks east, and then Raji's was the place for maybe like another year. And by that time, I was playing with the Blasters, and, you know, more or less took off one day and never came back.
This I like this shot here. I see you playing sax. This is a great shot, and these shots that we're showing here are part of the 16-page booklet from the reissue, and we'll put the QR code up, and we're going to talk about that reissue. These photos are Gary Leonard. Just great when photos like this get unearthed years later, right? It's just fantastic.
He really, really, really captured all of this. I mean, you could just sort of smell the room. You could see the sweat. Like, that is exactly what it felt like.
Yeah,
being in that room.
Yeah. And let me ask you, for those who may not know, who exactly was Top Jimmy?
So he was kind of a legendary figure early on. His original nickname was Top Taco Jimmy because he was a chef at a place called Top Taco, and that was open till 3. So everybody would end up there after everything closed, and he would feed, when the boss wasn't looking, just throw us
Sure.
a taco or
Right.
two. So he was legendary as being Top Taco Jimmy, and then Taco went away and he quit the job, and he was just hard drinking, hard living. He never did anything the easy way ever, not once. It would just be, he just lived this intense, bright, not designed to last long life, like someone like Darby Crash and a few other people that we lost along the way. And
Sure.
he just had that same sort of like, I'm going to make every minute count because I don't think I'm going to be here very long vibe.
Wow. Yeah.
And he wasn't.
Yeah. And just a couple of, these pictures are so friggin' great.
Yeah, they are.
Let me see. There's a couple more that are just so great. Well, there's this could be the winner. Because some great, I guess one of his pals, one of his drinking buddies was David Lee Roth. And what a fantastic shot this is. Here's David Lee Roth on stage on the bandstand with you guys. There you are on the left. This is fantastic.
Yeah, he, like these are the people that Jimmy attracted. Like David Lee Roth loved him. Tom Waits was there all the time. Tom loved him. He was one of one. There was nobody quite like him. And it was always, you never knew what the hell was going to happen when you're around him. Usually something crazy. So yeah, these guys really, they loved him. And it was just fun to see who'd show up on a Monday night. It was because there wasn't generally a lot going on Monday. So it was not unusual for like the entire punk world and all the hair guys and anybody. It was just like, it was the one place, really probably the only place in Hollywood where all those bands, all those musicians and their fans would just, they're in a safe space. Like nobody gave anybody any shit, no matter what, however you showed up.
Yeah, and look at this place. It's like there's a rug. There's no drum riser. It's like you could hit half the suspended ceiling with the asbestos is already falling down. This is real deal shit right here.
If it was in smell-o-vision, it would be like the toilets always overflowed. So you always, like coming down the stairs, like, oh shit, here we go again.
And talk about fire code, right? Like, right. There's like one stairway with 150 people in the basement.
I remember there was one night when there was an earthquake and the power went out, and that was pretty scary because it's just like one little rickety stairway going down. I just remember thinking, well, this could be it, but it was not, just a power outage.
Speaking of Tom Waits, here's a shot of Tom Waits with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he was a fan.
That's great. I was thinking about Roth, and I'm over here on the East Coast, a little bit younger. I don't have that perspective, and then thinking about Roth's first solo album and the stuff that he got into, the sort of Bosley Bop, and it, of course, it totally makes sense that he would love a band like Top Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Everybody loved it. Was with all due modesty, it was hard not to. We were just a bunch of drunken, louts mostly, but it was always entertaining. And because we were in that scene, we came at it with punk rock energy. It was not easy listening. We hit the shit really hard. So it was again, all due modesty, we were a pretty great band.
Yeah. But so Sean McNally, that is true. Those lyrics, the Van Halen 1984 record, the song Top Jimmy is about Top Jimmy, and Roth wrote the lyrics, and it is about Top Jimmy. I did not know that till I did my homework this week.
Yeah, and Top Jimmy Cooks, I think, refers to him being the taco chef at the place. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember the place, but they remember the face, and everyone want to go woo. Top Jimmy Cooks, Top Jimmy Swings. He's got the look. Yeah. Yeah,
it didn't. I don't think it didn't last long. I don't know if you would remember where the hell it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Taco Jimmy, is that what he was known as?
Top Taco Jimmy originally. Top Taco.
That's what you got back then. If you had a mohawk, you like Mohawk Nancy. He's like the taco guy. He's like Taco Jimmy. Yeah. That's kind of. Hey Tim, hope you're well, buddy. So that sort of leads us to this recording and this re-release that you produced. Could you give us any perspective on recording it, producing it, what the process was?
Yeah, no problem. So once I sort of like kind of moved into that scene, there was a Dutch film director, a guy named René Dalder, who was really truly a visionary. Like he saw stuff that nobody could see like 2-3 years ahead. So he had been relatively successful in Holland, and he moved to LA, and he built a film and audio studio, and it was his vision that music was going to be visual. Like you couldn't just make records; you had to have a look, and it had like everything was going to be sold visually. And mind you, this is like 2 years before MTV, like anybody even said the words MTV. So he just had this idea way before anybody could that this is how music was going to go. And so he put together himself a band called the Screamers that most punk historians would credit as being quite possibly the first LA punk rock band. Like we've
had Paul on the show.
So you might argue if it was somebody them or not. I mean, they were constructed, but they were still the first band to what you could look at them and say, okay, well that's a punk rock band, and nobody really up to that moment that I was aware of could say that. So René set about building the studio. So he had like an audio component and a visual component, and they would make videos, even though there was nowhere to show a video then. René was insistent that this was going to happen. And then he made a movie, which I think is on YouTube right now, called Population Zero.
Oh, wow.
And so there was a couple people like myself and Flea from Chili Peppers and a guy named Steve Hufstetter who went on to join the Plugs after like we were in the Plugs together for a minute, that René had around more or less just because he knew that he wasn't a musician, and he knew that like there were things that he would do wrong if he didn't have people that knew shit around him. So he had myself, Flea, and all we really did was just like, and it wasn't a lot to do, like just make sure he wasn't doing anything that would embarrass him musically. Like it all had like something cool going on, that there wasn't anything that wouldn't pass muster with
you were like quality control.
Yeah, literally quality control. And he never, as far as I know, wrote anybody a check. I never saw him pay anybody ever. But he was very generous about trading. So the trade-off was we got to use the studio when he wasn't using it, which was like midnight to 8 a.m. generally. So my idea was, because I always wanted to kind of be a record producer, and I had actually produced a record that had come out prior to Jimmy, but I was trying to build my bona fides as a producer. So I built up my sweat equity and got us into the studio to make that record. So it was, my memory, I think it was like 4 or 5 nights, like midnight to 8 a.m. And we were done. And there was, there wasn't a lot to it, to be honest with you. It was pretty much live. I mean, I did a podcast with Dig, the guitar player, and he reminded me that we had done 2 shows earlier every night that we went into the studio. So we were already pretty loosened up and ready to go. And that, I got really lucky. I had a great engineer. The studio sounded great, and the record came out great.
It was recorded in in '81 and sort of not released. It wasn't. I think, didn't Steve Wynn release it like a couple? Why did it take like 4, 5, 6 years before it saw the light of day?
So here's where the story turns a little bit. So so Jimmy, as all of us did, worship the ground that John and Exene walked on. Like we all thought that the X's, all the people in X, which are still very, very close friends, and who I love dearly, were like gods. Like they were just like the coolest people, and everything they did was perfect. And they shot little puffballs of talcum powder, and it was just and it was funny in an era where everybody was like sort of trying to be harder and realer than anybody else. Like we all thought that those especially John and Exene, were just perfect people.
Mm-hmm.
So, along with that, Ray Manzarek had been working with them and produced the second record or the first record. Anyway, it was right around the same time as that was happening. So Jimmy said, "I played the record for Ray. He wants to talk to you." So I was like, "Okay, I'll go talk to him." So I remember it was a hot summer day in LA, and Ray had a third floor office on Hollywood Boulevard. I just remember walking up the stairs, and there was this horrible smell. Like, what the hell is this? And knock on the door, and it's Ray, and he's eating a bag of chicken gizzards, like in a paper bag. So I could see like that was the source of this smell. And the bag was like literally dripping with grease, like literally like dripping grease out of the bottom.
I'm sort of surprised to hear that coming from Ray Manzarek. Like,
I'm telling you this. I mean, this is, I can't guarantee that my memory is foolproof, but this is. I mean, it was kind of burned in. So we sit there and Ray
traumatized.
Says, well, what happened? Ray goes, I heard the Top Jimmy record. Sounds pretty good. I said, well, thank you. He goes, well, I want to produce it. I said,
right.
I was like, sorry, what? What? And it was done. I mean, I'm not sure if it had been mixed, but the roughs weren't much different than what the record sounds like.
Sure.
He said, I'd like to produce it. And I said, well, Ray, it's pretty much done. I mean, it's like, all that's left to do is to mix it. He goes, you don't understand. I want to produce it. I was just one of those like, what the fuck am I going to do moments? Like he just wanted to put his name on it. Who was I? I mean, I was nothing. He was Ray Manzarek, so he thought he could pull that kind of shit off. And I said, no, I don't think that's going to happen, Mr. Manzarek. And I left. And then it just sat for a couple of years because Jimmy really wanted that to happen. I guess he wanted the magic hand of Ray Manzarek to have blessed the record somehow. But there's no way after, the record only happened because of the work I put in. There's no way I was going to give it to him. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't that big a Ray Manzarek fan anyway. So it's not like I thought the guy walked on water.
You weren't in love with that you weren't in love with that first X record?
I was definitely in love. Well, I was in love with X. I was not in love with the record. And I remember, I don't know. He has a thing about not having any bass on those records. And I like bass. So it always kind of bugged me that like the bassist might as well have not been there.
Well, he's kind of used. He kind of made his bones playing in a band without a bass player.
Yeah, that's true. That could be part of it. I would submit that the Doors are the most overrated band in the history of rock, without a doubt.
There you go.
I just don't. I mean, not a fan. Anyway, so that kind of stalled everything, and then right about then is when I started playing with the Blasters, and then Los Lobos. And to be perfectly honest, it was just kind of left the front of my mind. I was doing other stuff and busy, and it was unfortunate, but I didn't frankly lose a lot of sleep over it. I just assumed like one day something good would happen, and it took a lot longer than I would have ever thought. But then I guess Steve Wynn heard it, and he had a boutique thing with Frontier Records, I believe, called Down There, and then he put it out, and it was out for all the world, and then they folded, and then it was nowhere for about 20 years until about a month ago.
Let me say, everybody out there, here's the QR code. Top Jimmy, I listened to it many times this week. Enjoyed it very much. Very, very hard. It's a very hard partying band, and it's great. There's some great stuff on it, and Carlos Guitarlos really shines on a lot of these tracks, and I love like his guitar playing in the song Framed, and I also really love Ballad of a Thin Man that you guys did on it. Was it enjoyable to sort of revisit this after many years?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I think it holds up really well. I mean, those were wild, wonderful at times. I was, basically a baby in the woods, more or less, with, living through all that stuff. So yeah, it was quite nice. It's unfortunate, Carlos is kind of a hard nut to crack. So he didn't want to participate and was like basically told us to fuck off. And but he's a tough guy. I mean, he's, you know, even back then he was you never knew who was going to show up. Sometimes he was a doll, sometimes he wanted to kill me. So
Well, I read his story a little bit, and you know, he really traveled down a rough road, man. He really traveled down a rough road with a lot of issues, homeless and other things that we don't need to get into. But the guy had a rough road. Seemingly pulled himself together and is a bit of a beloved figure, but guy definitely had a rough road.
He did, and he you know, I mean, he'd probably be the first to admit it, that, you know, he's burned a lot of bridges, but, you know, we still love him, and, you know, God knows he plays his ass off on the record.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And yeah, the re-release is it's out on Blind Owl Records. There's a 16-page booklet with a lot of photos by Gary Leonard. It's banging. I guess it makes sense. So from there, you jump to the Blasters.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, one record I sure as hell loved, enjoyed revisiting this week, man, was this one.
Yeah. Well,
man, this record holds up.
Yeah, it does.
It smokes, man. This record smokes.
The Blasters were a great band, and it was a great, really great education for me. I got to my roommate was Lee Allen, who I considered the finest saxophone player, finest rock and roll sax player that ever lived. So it was, I mean, it just being, I mean, that was my first experience on the road, my first experience with a lot of stuff. It was just an amazing, amazing time. The band just burned every night. I mean, that was our mission everywhere we went, was just burn the fucking place down. And we did. But it was also at the same time, like, I was the youngest by far. And even though I was the only one in the band that actually produced a couple of records, they did not want to hear what I had to say about anything. So it was mildly daunting, just because, like, they were all very, 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 very headstrong, to the point of, like, physicality when they didn't get their way. And
right.
No, I was the last voice that anybody wanted to hear. So it was a little like, you know, it was a little disconcerting, just because I could, you know, I mean, I knew stuff, but they didn't care. So it was not, you know, after a couple of years with them, as much as I love them, and I still love them all, and I'm still very close to Dave. I see him and we play together all the time. When I started playing with Lobos guys, it was, I mean, it was just like night and day. Like they listened to each other. They didn't, you know, fight. They never physically fought. Certainly, I never saw anybody ever swinging at anybody in Los Lobos in 52 years.
Right.
And it was just sort of a much more collegial environment with people that actually cared what I said, and I cared what they said. So when one day the Blasters van was going north and Lobos was going south, and I went south, and that was. I
mean, look, like you said, look how young you look in this picture, man.
Yeah, I was a baby. I was, what was I, 24, maybe 25, but yeah, I was a kid. But it was fun.
Yeah, this was an exciting time, and I remember this was an exciting record. This is like one of those records that transcended a lot of things in a lot of genres. Like, you could be into hardcore punk rock and love this record; it was okay. Yeah. I mean, this record fucking smoked in 1981. Like, this was, you know, you get a pass for loving this record if you were like walking around with your head shaved and combat boots on. This record was great.
Well, it was, you know, like, we approached it with the same attitude. Like, you know, you couldn't be in LA and see, you know, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, X. I mean, all those bands just went at it so hard that we could not do that. Like, we had to meet that, you know, energy with our own version of that energy. So yeah, it was, we were part, I mean, it was, we did tons of shows with, you know, you name it, with everybody.
Yeah.
Like every punk rock band that ever was, you know, at one point we played with. Either band, like between the Blasters and Lobos, there's not, I can't think of any that.
And I know we I'm just going to go back a second to just show everybody. And of course, this is another great record that Steve plays on. And could you give us a take on sort of the Slash Records family and that you became a part of? Because it's Flesh Eaters, we mentioned Gun Club. A lot of this is the Lobos eventually, right?
Yeah.
What for us over here on the East Coast and around the world? What was the Slash Records family like back then, and how'd you get involved with that?
It was very small. Number one, so it was just it was Bob Biggs was the president, and a guy named Mark Trilling, who was his capo. And then initially there was just like maybe 5 people in the office, I want to say. And then as things started exploding left and right, it got bigger and bigger. But it was just like I would just hang out there just because it was super fun, and it really was like a small family. I would just hang out. Like there was a room that all the cassette demos would get dumped in, and like I'd be in there with them. We just open them up and listen. I was there the day that we put on the Violent Femmes demo for the first time. I was just like, holy shit, what's this? Like we're all like, wait a minute, that's really good. And they literally put out the demo. They didn't touch it. We heard Blister in the Sun. We're all just flipping out. But just by virtue of being there, I got to produce the first the second Faith No More record. I mean, that was somebody they signed, and they needed a producer, so I showed up. It was just a really fun place, and all the band, like the taste. I mean, it was. I can't even think of anybody that wasn't amazing. Like everybody they signed was pretty great. So it was just super fun, and I got to be part of some really cool stuff. But then once, I mean, in those early days, there was not enough money to cause jealousy or anything else. Like we were all for one for all. We all helped each other. Like anybody would get a gig, it was like, who can we get on? Like the first thing wasn't like that first, like who can we get on the gig? Like who can we play with? Like which of our friends can we put on the bill so we could hang out and drink beer together? And then as things started getting, money shows up, and then record labels show up, and then everybody's on the road, and then all of a sudden you can't play LA 3 times a month the way we used to, or even once a month. You sort of had to wait 4 or 5 months and go play other places. So it just kind of, the scene became, I mean, it was really close knit and small for many years, and then nothing holds together. I mean, eventually everything breaks apart, and sure enough, by like I don't know, mid 80s, I want to say like 85 or so, it was pretty much not anything anymore.
Yeah. Before I got to take a sponsor break, let's just touch on this. You mentioned this record that you were involved in. I know there's a lot of real hardcore Faith No More fans that watch the show. Any memories of this? I know this was I'm saying lightly a somewhat challenged, difficult band early on. Chuck Mosley was the vocalist, and listen, I'm not stirring shit here. I mean, it's out there, man. It's not like this show's not about that. But could you lend us any perspective on this band and why you were involved, how you were involved?
Well, I was involved because I would just hang out at the office waiting for something some fruit to fall off the tree, more or less, and I was not there when they heard the demo, but I remember hearing about Faith No More, and then we went up to see them, and they signed them more or less that day. And they were unbelievable. I mean, they were so well, like they were so ready. And a lot of that credit I have to give to Matt Wallace, who was the co-producer on the record. And he had produced the first record and engineered it. And the demos just sounded amazing. Amazing. And so when I went up there to record it at San Francisco, they were just like so ready to go. Like nothing, I don't think we did more than 2 takes of anything.
Wow.
But the wild card was Chuck. Like he was extremely bipolar, extremely unmedicated, and you just never knew what version of him was going to show up. And it was tragic because the guy was super, super talented, but he would just literally turn on a dime and go from being like a sweetheart to just enraged. It's funny, like in many respects, it's not dissimilar from Carlos. Like they would just be like, they'd be so present and in the moment and making great music, and then like something, and I don't even know what, something would switch, and then they were like terrors. They were just they wanted to kill somebody, literally, like something, and more often not me. So it was
the producer.
it was I don't know what put me around these guys, but I'm honored to have been part of it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I love that record. I'm still really close with Mike Borden, the drummer. We talk all the time, and they were just an unbelievably great band, just so powerful and just no wasted anything. That was always like in an era when like it wasn't like it was all about excess, but they were just like everything was sawed off to the bone and nothing, like not one extra anything except what the thing that made it just go hard and fast. It was just thrilling to be part of.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, let me take a sponsor break for a couple minutes. You take a break. Let's get a bit of air. I'll do a couple upcoming shows, and we'll come back and let's talk a little bit about Los Lobos and some other exciting stuff. I'll see you in a few.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Okay. That's what's up. Are you okay over there?
Yes, I am.
Just like doing your thing. La 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 la.
I'm actually working and listening to the show.
Okay, good.
Like everybody else here. We're all
Great
stealing
guest.
time. Yeah.
Great guest. Great guest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, fantastic. Great history. Yeah, yeah. Let me do some sponsor stuff. I'll see you a little bit later.
Okay.
And now, my friends, if you have to go to the bathroom, get up and do it. All right? Go shake one out. Go smoke a cigarette. Go walk the dog. We'll be right back in a minute. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their...
That's right. You asked for it, you got it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Let's talk about some upcoming events. Saturday, March 7th, go check out, if you're out in the island of Long, Stevens band Serial Poets is playing Whiskey Rocks. And yo, this is being announced tomorrow. I am moderating the Chris Wren book event here in New York at the Powerhouse Arena. This book right here, Fenway Punk. And by the way, he's the next guest on the show this Sunday. There you go. This Sunday, Chris will be on the show. We'll be talking about his upcoming book, Fenway Punk. We talked about A7. This is the next A7 show, Sunday, March 15th. Non-residents, why die, et cetera, free all ages. Bring the wife and booger eating kid, whatever. April A7 Rebelmatic. Don't worry about just the IDs, couple ID shows. I'm moderating Generation Records Sunday, April 26th. A couple of books, including Live at the Safari Club, The Scenes and Discords, and Bullshit Monthly Fanzine. May 3rd, and Zaguri and Rage at A7. Listen, in other words, there's a lot going on. What book are you reading? Which are you reading? Chris's book? Is this what you're reading, Francis? It's a really great book, and it's great. Listen, this guy financed a record label from Yankee Sucks merchandise sold at Red Sox games. So it's pretty great. It's pretty great. And he'll be on the show on Sunday. Yeah, Fenway Punk. Yeah, it's good. It's a very good book. Chris is a smart guy. And he's been very good to me. So we love that guy. You know, Antidote was signed to Bridge 9, and he put out the first Incendiary Device record, and so on and so forth. So we love that guy. That said, let us bring our guest back on, and let's continue our journey. Mr. Steve Berlin. Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Hey. Cool. So how do you fall in with Los Lobos? How does that? I know you mentioned which van should I get into, but just set the table a little bit as to, you know, how you met them, how you fell in with them, and how this really incredible journey began with them.
Sure. So the first time I saw them, they were opening for Public Image. So Sex Pistols never played LA. So Public Image shows up in LA, and Tito LaRiva from the Plugs, who I went on to play with for a couple of years, was given the task of curating the opening acts. And Johnny said he only wanted Chicano acts. He don't want any white, only Chicano bands. So Tito thought it'd be, I guess, amusing to put himself and this band Los Lobos, who at that time were playing exclusively folkloric music from Latin America. So no drums, no bass, no amplifiers, no keys, just playing these vihuelas and requitos, these little delicate...
And sung in Spanish.
It's all in Spanish.
All in Spanish.
They looked like they, you know, like they had long hair and they were wearing serapes, and it was just like, it was like, I've never been in a bull ring, but I imagine like if you were waving a red flag in front of a bull, couldn't have gotten the Public Image. So it was like, it was amazing. People, it was just, everybody threw everything that they could. It was like a blitzkrieg of spit and piss and quarters and everything else. And those guys just stood there and took it. It was like one of the bravest things I've ever seen. So then fast forward, I want to say 3 or 4 years later, I'm in the Blasters, and we've sort of like at this moment, we're headlining 4 nights at the Whiskey A Go-Go, which is like the biggest thing that we've ever done. Like the Blasters, it's certainly like a rival moment for the band. And every night we had a different opening act, and I think it was Saturday night was the band Los Lobos. And I vaguely remembered, like, you know, I wonder if that can't be the same band. I don't know if this is going to work playing folkloric music for Saturday night at a Blaster show.
Right.
But sure enough, it was the same guys. But by that point, they had plugged in and they were playing electric guitars, and there was a drum kit, and it was rock and roll. It was not folkloric music anymore. But they were doing corridos, and they were doing like a lot of influence stuff, but certainly not folkloric music. And they were unbelievable. They just literally blew everybody, and I mean everybody, away. It was like all anybody talked about for the next, 3 months was Los Lobos, Los Lobos, Los Lobos. Like everybody, like, because nobody, like, here's a band from 7 miles away from that stage that nobody had ever heard of, and they had been together for 7 years at that point, playing quite literally like 4, 5, 6 nights a week, twice a day in most cases. So they had something really special that nobody else had. Like they had the togetherness that only comes from being together for many years. And they had 2 great singers, and they had lots of songs. And it was just absolutely mind-boggling that everybody. I thought I knew everybody. I thought I'd play with everybody. I was
Right,
generally,
right,
I was in
right.
everybody's band. Like, how could I miss these guys? And so that night we met, and they said, there's some sax parts on some of these songs. You want to learn them? You want to come play with us? And again, like my Philly training, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm all in. And quite literally at that moment in my life, my exposure to Latin music was quite literally nothing. Like I wasn't even a salsa fan. Like growing up in Philly, there was no, I don't even think we had Mexican restaurants back then. So it was like
Right.
nothing. But I was game. So I did. And you can see we had a fashion coordinator back then.
Yeah.
And I went to their friend Gary's garage and started learning the songs, and we became friends. And it was not unusual for me to like be on the road with Blasters and then take a red eye to play at a quinceañera on 2:00 on a Sunday afternoon with Los Lobos, just because I enjoyed it so much. So this went on for a couple of years while I was still in the Blasters. The Lobos guys let me produce, like they would get an opportunity to like be part of a soundtrack or something else, and they would let me produce those things, which was very gracious on their part because I really still didn't know what I was doing. And then as the story, I believe it's true, all of Bob Biggs, the president of Slash Records, friends said, if you don't sign Los Lobos, we're never inviting you to another party. So he was browbeaten into signing us. But I remember being in the office because, again, like I wasn't in the band, that I remember him expressing to somebody that he signed us and Green on Red at the same time, who were a great band, and I'm still close. I'm still friends with a couple of those guys. But he was saying that, well, Lobos will be, they'll do okay, but Green on Red, that's going to be his retirement plan. He was convinced that they were going to be like the next whoever, Tom Petty, I guess, or something. But sure enough, we go in, make a record, win a Grammy. And when I started the record, I was still in the Blasters. By the time the record came out, I was in Los Lobos. So
is that in A Time to Dance, or is that or the big banger that came after?
Yeah, that was A Time to Dance. So it was an EP,
Yep.
6 songs, produced by myself and T-Bone Burnett.
Right.
And then, so I'm not on the album cover, but I'm in the band. And then we tour quite a bit in the ensuing couple of years. And then we set about making Will the World Survive, which was really like the first real statement, I guess, for us as a band. And that's the first one I'm on as a band member and co-producer with T-Bone again. That was, 43 years, I don't know, long time ago.
83. I know Slash Records was like initially I think distributed by Rough Trade, but I think like around I guess some things lined up around this moment, and Warner Brothers kind of took over. Was that for distribution? And sort of, is it fair to say that a couple of things aligned here for how the Wolf? Yeah. So Warner Brothers shows up, and basically the deal is that they could cherry pick. If something like starts to bubble up and they think it's going to go, it could matriculate from Slash to Warner. So that record is actually on Slash Warner's. Right.
The third Blasters record, I believe, is the Blasters were got the same deal. So we went from having this very small boutique shop to this. It wasn't as giant as it is now, but it was a big corporation with real offices. That the Slash offices were above a shut, closed restaurant. It was
in a little strip mall.
It wasn't even a strip mall. No, it was just like it was a restaurant. There's a legend. It's called the Spanish Kitchen. There's like all these tales about it because the restaurant literally, like the owner locked the door, didn't even put the chairs on the tables, and walked away. And it was just like this haunted restaurant for all of the years that I was there. And the Slash offices were above the Spanish Kitchen. But then all of a sudden, so now we're in the big leagues and we're dealing with Lenny Waronker and the whole A&R staff at Warner's. But to their credit, they were enormously supportive of us always. I mean, they were always, like the early days, at least, they were always behind us. And it was a good place and a good time to be on Warner Brothers because they really did. They tried. I mean, they did everything they could to make stuff work. They had people in the road that would more or less take care of us. So where, like they would just be on the bus with us, make sure everything was cool. It was a good time. We got this record did well. Then La Bamba happened on that label, and then By Light of the Moon, and I think it was. Then we did the whole run with Mitchell Froom and Chad Blake of Kiko, Colossal Head, and This Time. And then by the time we got to this time, so this is now what, early 1990s. That's when the label sort of became part of this megalith. It's like multinational corporation.
Yeah.
Like all of the people we knew had gone. It was much more like, you used to be able to go to the Warner Brothers offices and you'd hear music coming out of every room. And like, I remember going back there for something, and it was like being at a insurance office. I mean, there was nobody playing music in the whole office. I just remember thinking like, what kind of record label isn't, like, what are they doing? Like, what's the point? So that's when I knew that the end was nigh.
It seems like, that it's a common cautionary tale, and that nothing lasts forever. These things sort of happen in like, dare I say, like 5-year increments, and like new people come in and out, and very rarely does something go for a decade. It really, you have to ride the wave and be coherent and in the present at that moment. And it seems like you guys were with the run that you guys were having there. It must have been a fabulous time.
It was a great time. It really was. And we got to make really cool records, and they were like, to follow, just by way of illustration, like, so La Bamba happens, and we sold, millions of records all over the world. And we have to follow it up with something. And we decided to put out a record of the early days, like the very, very, the music that the band made when they opened for Public Image, for folkloric music. And the idea was that anybody that thought we were going to become the La Bamba party band, they were going to have a sadly mistaken idea. So
we'll show them.
Well, it was very intentional because we didn't want to get typecast. To a certain extent, you can't have a record like that and not be typecast to a certain extent. But we were very adamant that was not going to be, that we were going to take back our own story, more or less. So we did. And so that record, we put that record out, and then we did The Neighborhood, which was another adventure unto itself. And then we, right about then, we sort of just, the short version of the story is like, so we do La Bamba, and then we do the folklore, we do Pistola, and then we do the rock record after Pistola. And we were I think poorly managed, poorly informed. Like, we went out, we toured on a scale that we didn't deserve. Like, we had like buses and lights and sound, like stuff that we don't really we never should have done it, but we thought we were big rock stars, and
all recoupable, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was like, we had always, like, the guys always had families, so we always made money on the road. Like, it was not an option to come home with nothing ever. And until after La Bamba, we go out and tour with the Neighborhood record, we come home and we're upside down $50,000. We learned the hard way basically we learned that we're going to listen to ourselves. We're not going to take anybody's advice that we don't trust completely, and we're going to question it, because I think the lesson from the post La Bamba experiences, that we took a lot of advice on faith that turned out to be totally wrong for us. So then we went in to cut. We owed the label another record. We started Kiko. We thought for sure we were going to get dropped, because the music didn't sound like anything we had ever done, or didn't sound like anything anybody had ever done. We thought it was going to be too weird, and we were going to get dropped. And to his enormous credit, Lenny Waronker was like, "No, this is awesome. You guys keep going. This is incredible." And he's the one that suggested we pair up with Mitchell Froom and Chad Blake, who really that's what made Kiko and then the next two records what they were. Those guys were incredible.
I gotta say, man, this record is a masterpiece. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I enjoyed listening to it this week. It reminded me listening to this week, because like it was during the CD era. So it's a lot to digest, this record. There's a lot of songs. There's a lot of music, and it's just freaking fantastic. It is. I think it's a masterpiece. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Did when you were doing it, were you feeling it, or was it like, hey, this is just going to be like you said, was there any sort of magic going on, or did it just work out that way?
No, it was definitely magical. I mean, we started it by ourselves, and we'll be like half the record. So we sort of had this idea of what we were hinting at. Like, we wanted something that we weren't going to compromise. That was one of the takeaways from the whole thing with the neighborhood, is like we had compromised a lot of our, I guess, values to make somebody else happy, be it producer or label or some imaginary somebody. And we just said, fuck all that shit. We're just going to make ourselves happy. So we set about that record with the idea that we were not going to compromise anything, and we're not going to take anybody's shit about anything. So we had this notion that we were going to, like, basically just chase all these ideas and be fearless. And again, like, thinking that we were going to get dropped anyway. So we didn't think there's no reason to, like, hold back anything, certainly.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, like, Letty was like, yeah, this is great. You should go talk to Mitchell and Chad. And then, once those guys showed up, it became what it is. But every day was just a magical ride. Like, we had Chad was the thing about Chad Blake, who was the engineer of the record, is like, what you hear on that record is like the other thing we learned from the neighborhood experience is, like, on that record, we wrote the songs, rehearsed the songs, toured the songs, and then recorded them. And then by the time it came to record them, we were fucking sick of them. Seriously, we were just sick of them. I didn't want to hear any of those songs again because we had burned them out to ourselves. So we thought, well, let's not do that. Let's just kind of record ourselves learning the songs and see what happens. And a lot of what you hear is us sort of finding our way through these songs. And a lot of it is first takes, and there's mistakes that don't sound like mistakes because Chad Blake's kind of a genius and would make something that was wrong sound like super intentional and beautiful. So it was just sort of like the adventure part was always like, you do something out in the studio, and you come in and he would have it like running through like literally seven fuzz pedals and running through a tube that was connected. It was like a Rube Goldberg experiment on every song and every sound for that matter. So it was super fun.
If anybody out there is sort of not real familiar with the Los Lobos catalog, I can't recommend Kiko enough. Check it out. It is, especially, let's say you have a long drive somewhere. It is incredible. Give it a listen. Hey, personal question: is that Louis Perez who's ripping the lead in Just a Man?
No, that's Dave. That's David Hidalgo. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
damn.
He's a badass.
Yeah, man. I was like, whoa, who's that?
Yeah.
As a producer, was it? And I'm sure, like you were talking about, being on the label where maybe they pressed you into like, you should work with this guy and that guy. Is it how do I put it? It must be interesting when, as a producer, you're kind of working with another producer, seeing how other people work, or maybe kind of feeling like, I don't know, or maybe in this case going, wow, I'm really loving these guys.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And I work with a lot of my friends are producers, so I end up playing on their records, and everybody's got their own style, and everybody's got their own way of doing stuff, as do I, of course. And yeah, absolutely. I learned a lot of like what to do, what not to do, but Mitchell Froom is a genius. There's no two ways about it. And the way he approaches it, I learned so much from that guy. It's not like I thought I knew shit, but like just how he would process sound and the way he would approach stuff is like, I'm endlessly in his debt for a lot of what I stole from him. And as I mentioned, Chad Blake, complete genius engineer. And everybody was sort of operating at peak efficiency in for those 10 years from Kiko through this time was like a 3 record with the same producer, basically the same studio. I couldn't be happier or prouder of those records and those relationships, because I'm still close with all those guys and still, I love them. We'll love them forever.
Fantastic. Bill Menser 1502 says Kiko is the best and most creative, in my opinion. Holly Gully Bill.
Holly Gully Bill, yeah, he was around for all that shit, man. Bill was there.
Is that right?
Back to the Top Jimmy days. Oh God, yeah, yeah. That's good to hear from you, Bill.
Good
That's
to
amazing.
see you, Bill. Thanks for stopping
Yeah,
by.
man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good. Glad you're on this.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the you know, I wanted to touch on just something I thought was really interesting. Go back just real quick on the La Bamba, on the kind of the La Bamba thing. Is it true that you guys were sort of connected with Richie Valens' family from playing like their town many times, and they said, "Hey, listen, we'll sign over the rights, but hey, it's got to be Los Lobos. That's our people." Is that folklore true?
No, that's pretty much the way it was. So his family settled in Watsonville, which is near Santa Cruz. And in the early days, like that was our circuit. We'd play around LA.
Right.
We'd go up to Santa Cruz because they'd always have us. And then over to Davis, California, which is near Sacramento. We had a friend who had a place there and we could play there. And that was our circuit for a while. I mean, that was our thing. So whenever we go to Santa Cruz, Richie's family would always be there. They'd feed us. They'd take care of us. I mean, they were just so gracious. So one day we were up there and they said, we've been approached about selling the rights to Richie's story and we're going to do it. But we stipulated that you guys are the only people that could touch his music. And we're just like, Jesus, really? You sure about that? Yeah, but sure enough, that was real. And it was, like not long after that conversation, we started working on the movie and started recording stuff for it. But I have to say, like, as we were working on it, there was no point, not 10 seconds where we thought it was going to be anything but a disaster because it was kind of a mess for like 80% of, well, maybe not that much. 60% of the time they didn't cast the Lou Diamond Phillips role. So we recorded all this stuff, not knowing who was going to sing it or how. And they're having a really hard time casting Richie. They started the movie thinking that the Richie character would just appear out of something. And I know they screen tested a lot of people, but they were adamant it had to be, they were looking for the right guy. Obviously they found the right guy, but it took forever. And then the script would change on a daily basis. So it wouldn't, like a day in the studio for me, because I was producing the soundtrack, would be like, okay, we want Donna, and we want it to sound like it's in a bathroom, okay. And then it goes, now we want it to sound like Donna in the Brooklyn Paramount Theater, like, oh, okay. And then now we want it to sound like, just like literally like every day, the pieces are moving around, and what we're seeing, I mean, the bones of the movie were there, but there was like a lot of excess. There was like a long dream sequence that went nowhere. Right. And there was like a lot of extra stuff. It was just like, I mean, it was enjoyable, but it was certainly not anything that we thought at any moment was going to be successful. Like literally, wow. I remember, so the version of the movie that you saw and everybody else saw, I saw on my last day working on it. That was the only time I ever saw that version of the movie. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is actually watchable. This is incredible. They pulled this together. And I remember saying to myself, yeah, it's a shame nobody's ever going to see it. Literally. Because that's how messed up it had been up to that point. But it was like, once they cut out all the fat, and they really cut out a lot of fat, trust me.
That's great.
It was that movie. And, sure enough, boom, it's all,
It reminds me a little bit, my dad was a film director and did a lot of work in the 70s and 80s. And my dad tells a story that while he was shooting, he'd have like crew guys that worked on his film sets say, I'm working on this other thing, this movie, The Godfather. And the director just has no idea what he's doing. We're standing around half the day. He's shooting this thing with like weird low lights or candlelight. This thing's a fucking disaster. And that's what the crew guys were telling my dad, who was shooting commercials back then. And my dad, tells the story, and there you go. Right.
It is, I have to say, I think Taylor Hackford, who was the producer of it, like he's the one that I think really made it go. He had made lots of music movies. He did the Chuck Berry movie after La Bamba, but it was always his passion to do the story.
Yeah,
and I think he's the one that, I wasn't there for the editing process. I was just, doing the music, but I think he's the one that really cut all the bullshit out and made it work.
Was the La Bamba thing like a little bit of an albatross around Los Lobos' neck, like for a couple, maybe a while, or did you have to work through that a little bit? Did it turn into like, which we're going to get to a little bit like a Grateful Dead Touch of Grey thing, where like people just want to hear this stuff that they just heard and not interested in anything else, or really the back catalog of the band?
Well, if you call that an albatross, I mean, they come to the show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I mean, like they're there. I mean, sometimes audiences are very vocal about wanting to hear that song, and they start yelling for it like second song into a 90-minute set.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're lucky. I mean, what could be bad about that? Like we sold a lot of records. Everybody knows our name. No matter who I meet, like, what do you do? A musician? Ever heard of your band, Los Lobos? No. Like, you ever seen the movie La Bamba? Yeah. Like, okay. So it's always like a shorthand to, in conversation. Sure. If I need to pull that card, sometimes I won't say shit. But if I need to get bumped up in line or something.
Right.
So I mean, that was, and I guess to answer your question, is that's sort of what the idea with doing La Pistola was. Like, we weren't going to be typecast by it. We're happy that people love that song. We play it every night without fail. We don't mind. It's not. There's whatever the word for it is. It wouldn't be albatross. And it's what's the big deal? It's a song. Like it's not like, and we were playing that song before it was a movie, so it's not like it's something that anybody's forcing on us. It's
sure.
It was a wonderful journey that we got to take. That I'm not sure, frankly, we would have been able to take with our own music, just because it wasn't quite that digestible. Like, we were by intent not making like a song that everybody in the world loves, from babies to great grandparents. That wouldn't have happened without that movie and without all the people involved. Taylor, the Ritchie's family, Luis Valdez, everybody involved in the movie.
That's a great attitude. Christopher Valdez says, did Steve produce the Bo Diddley track on the La Bamba soundtrack?
No. So that one was, that was a funny day. So that was the score to the dream sequence that they cut out. So there's just there's a little bit of it, I believe, in the movie where you just see him on the motorcycle, but that was like 20 minutes at one point.
Right.
So by that point, the movie had been tested and was screening well, and Paramount Pictures decided that was unscored, or we didn't do that. So somebody way above me in the food chain decided that they would have Willie Dixon, famed blues bassist and songwriter who had produced Muddy Waters, among others, was going to produce that soundtrack, that part of that moment, that scene, along with Carlos Santana. So it's us and Carlos Santana, produced by Willie Dixon. And the Paramount people decided that it would be fun if they invited all the executives to the studio to watch this go down. And again, nobody consulted me, nobody talked. I was low on the food chain, but it was not like we could say that's a really bad idea. But within about 10 minutes, it became obvious that it was a really bad idea, because number one, Willie did not give a fuck who anybody in that room was. He certainly didn't give a fuck who Carlos Santana was or us. He was there to do a job, number one.
Right.
And in that era, I mean, it's not a secret that our drummer, Louis, his forte was playing the corridos, like the fast, up-tempo Mexican stuff. He was not what you would call a rock and roll drummer, nor would he have ever claimed to be. So on those, like all of the early records, he's on the Norteña is the style of music. That's him on those drums. And then everything else is either Dave Hidalgo, our guitar player, who's a great drummer, or we'd hire another drummer, or sometimes like on Will the Wolf Survive, I programmed a drum machine. That's a drum machine on that song. Right. But Louis he would not be the guy to play a session playing anything other than music. But because we're performing for all these these movie people, it was a nightmare because and I just remember, Willie had this, he'd have like a little stutter, and he would go, drummer, you're not cutting it, drummer, you're not cutting it, you're not cutting it. And it's like, poor Louis is like, he's just like, I can't do this. Like, this is not what I do. So it went south fast. It was, I remember like he called Carlos, Carlo, you're playing a little too much, Carlo. Like tone it down a little bit. Like, he's just me and Carlos Santana. Like, he has another gear. Like, that's what he does. Like,
you basically you get the Carlos Santana. You can't. There's not a variation on the basic theme.
So no
awesome.
is the answer. I did not produce that. I was there for every minute of it, though, and I'm not sure if it was because that went south so bad that they cut it out of the movie. I don't think so, but it was it was a long day that went nowhere.
Yeah. Henry Contreras says, very cool. I'm Henry Local Contreras. I do some of the artwork for Los Lobos. Such great people to work with.
Oh, that's nice.
And
thank you, man.
Dave's son is the drummer for Social Distortion.
Yeah. And I guess they got some new stuff coming out. I heard a new song that sounded great, right?
Social Distortion, they do a record every 10 years. So
yeah,
we just played with them, actually. Well, not just, but we did that punk rock, but we played punk rock bowling in May in Vegas. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Hey, have you seen your Hardcore Legend trading card?
No, I got a.
There you go. Look at that. Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
dude, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's that, and the back is awesome. You got the back.
You got my stats.
Yo, your stats are off the hook.
Blown notes, overproduced records.
Josh, if you're watching, is this the card? Does this card have the most stats ever on a card? I mean, this is bananas. Shit. Yeah.
Wow, most of it's true.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool, man. Yeah. That's I'm honored.
He said this one was crazy to research.
Well,
tell me about it.
My first trading card. I'm honored, man.
Yeah. Josh, reach out to Steve, or I'll give you his people's, and you get him the card. I want to ask you about your Los Lobos sort of relationship, and I saw Los Lobos. Wait, hold on. Let me get the right photo to go with this.
Sure.
Here we go. Okay, here we go. Well, it's not exactly behaving, but let me put up Los Lobos' relationship with Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead.
Sure.
I saw Los Lobos play with Open for the Dead a couple of times. I know Jerry loved the band. I've seen him play Evangeline. Your take on sort of the Grateful Dead and Jerry and that whole thing?
Well, he was like, I have an Uncle Mickey that was my favorite uncle growing up, and Uncle Mickey was just like, he was always happy. He would always, he'd be the one that would he'd sneak, here, hand me a beer. My parents were looking, like, he would be like your favorite uncle, and that was Jerry. Jerry reminded me so much of my Uncle Mickey. He was like that guy. He was just so warm, and he, like, people don't, I guess in his world, like being Jerry Garcia, like he didn't really have an opportunity to do much. He's a Chicano, and like I don't get the impression he had like a lot of Chicano friends around him. Right, so we showed up. We were like his family. Like he would be like,
aww.
He was just so happy we were there. And I remember one of the shows where it was one of these. I think it was like Laguna Seca, one of those shows where like we're on early in the day. And like Jerry's like hunched down behind Hidalgo's amplifier, like he's literally got his ear on the amplifier. He's back there with his eyes closed, smoking a cigarette, and just like like just nodding along, like literally with his ear on the back of David's bandmaster. It was just amazing to watch. But it just like it. I mean, we weren't shit. I mean, it was a moment where his validation and the fact that he was so kind and so warm to us really, really meant a lot. Like it kind of made us like, hey, you know, like this is okay. Maybe we have this is going to work out okay for us. So, and it's funny. You started the show with the This Land Is Your Land. So
I love that clip, man.
So that was July 4th. Whatever year, 86 maybe. I don't know.
I'm not gonna play the music here. Yeah.
So it's
cool. Yeah.
So they asked us. It was Good Morning America, and that was live in the parking lot at Patriots. What's it?
Yeah, Sullivan Stadium. I was right.
Sullivan Stadium. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I was right.
So it's 8 in the morning, and we had driven up from, I believe we played New York the night before. We had not gone to sleep, so we're all like, and I don't believe Jerry did. I mean, we weren't with Jerry, but like we were. I just remember like we were so crusty, and Bobby had obviously gotten a lot of sleep.
Right.
And was like, I remember, and like, so he's like trying to like, okay, Jerry, you get the fifth harmony, and Dave, you do the first harmony, and then like Bobby's just trying to organize everything, and Jerry just shot us this look like, you see what I have to work with?
That's great.
It was hysterical, and all we wanted to do was get back on the bus and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it was such an honor to be with those guys and just to be around them and still to this day, like we're still, I mean, we're, I guess, around a lot of those guys. We still see a lot of the dead, whoever's left. Obviously, we're losing them month to month, but we're still sort of adjacent to their world, and it made a huge difference for us. I mean, I think it really kind of kept us going in the years in between, where we were not top of the pops anymore, but the dead community has always been incredibly welcoming to us.
You guys really delivered the goods on that dedicated record. That version of Bertha that you guys did was fantastic. Yeah. It was really one of the high Latin. What did Jane's Addiction did? Ripple, I think. Fantastic,
right.
Fantastic. It was fantastic. It was really good. But you guys really ripped Bertha, and I know you played it live. I've seen you play it live since then. So
we played a lot.
Really good. And don't you guys? I don't know if you still do, but didn't you guys play West LA Fadeaway at some point?
Yeah.
Wasn't that in the repertoire?
We put that in the set, and now we've been doing Going Down the Road.
Shit.
That's in there. Yeah. I mean, we pay our debts, man. Like we know how much we owe the dead. And we know how much our fans. With that Venn diagram is like like one. It's like an eclipse. You know what I mean? Like there's not. There's not a lot of gray space between dead fans and us and our fans, so it's always a blast. And you
went out on the Further tour. You did that first Further tour in '96. I saw that. That was great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's Hot Tuna. That was.
Yes, Hot Tuna. Us.
You guys. Hornsby.
Yeah, Hornsby was out for part of it, and Sherry Jackson was an artist that I was producing, was on there for a while.
Right on.
I think there's somebody else. There's one more I can't remember. But my enduring memory of that trip was Owsley was along on that.
Wow.
The guy, but that guy, he was so. I mean, obviously, that guy's probably done more acid than anybody on earth because he invented it.
Yeah.
And his thing was he only ate processed meat. Like
processed.
He would only eat like the deli tray in our dressing room, and because he was at large, he would just like float around. So we ended up not like the first couple of days is like, oh my god, that's Owsley, like and then after a while it's like, oh man, he had this really, really intense odor because he only ate like salami. That was his thing. He would eat salami, ham. And then when we would go on stage, he would go in our dressing room and Hot Tuna's dressing room and eat the entire deli tray because that's what he lived on. So it got to the point that we had to set like some of those doors you can't lock, and we would leave somebody behind to keep Owsley out. And then I'll never forget, Hot Tuna had a thing on their dressing room doors, like it said Owsley with a like the line, the purple line.
Could be the greatest Owsley story I've ever heard.
Oh man, yeah. But the dead world, it's like it was amazing to see like a lot of these names I'd been reading about forever. Like, oh my god, that's
Steve Parrish or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Robbie Taylor
Robbie Taylor, I know. Yeah, I mean there was nobody. They had no lack of legendary figures around them ever.
Yeah. We have a friend that part of our New York hardcore family who went on to be Weir's main guy, Chris Sharuki, and ended up going on. He ended up being Weir's #1 guy, stage manager, whatever. And he came from, he sang in a New York hardcore band. He sang in Cause for Alarm. He went to San Francisco. He ended up being like a loader at the Warfield, just loading in gear. Then he became like a cable, cable guy for the audio. And he just somehow ended up falling in with them. And God rest his soul, he ended up being like Weir's main guy, which was always so bizarre.
I'm not surprised. A lot of like once they have a lot of people that have been with them forever. Like it's something about being around that group that it's a job for life. Neil Young, same way. Like he's got the guys around him that have been there forever. I mean, it's a great work environment. Like what else you want, man? It's like they take care of you, great music every night. I mean, it's hard to whine.
Absolutely. Hey, let me take a very quick sponsor break, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure, man. Sounds good.
See you in a minute. Okay. That's what's up. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 416. Our guest is Steve Berlin of Los Lobos, producer, Top Jimmy, and the Rhythm Pigs new record out. Please, now is the time. Post your questions. Go deep, get weird. Let's do it. In the meantime, I want to mention some upcoming shows. Like I said before, this Sunday, February 22nd, Chris Wren is on the show to talk about his book, Fenway Park. We are excited about that. We love that guy. Sunday, March 1st, Hank's Saloon documentary. Leon Chase, the director. Hank's Saloon, of course, the beloved music venue from Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, Benjamin Howard Smith from the Brotlow, who's been on the show, and our good friend Lee Greenfeld of Dead Flowers Productions will be on as well. Sunday, March 8th, this we'll be talking about this book, When Rock Met Hip Hop, with Steve Blush. Excited to have Frankie Ferrar on the show, Guns N' Roses' longest tenured drummer, good old friend. Lots to talk about with Frank. Hey, just announced this the other day. We're going to do a bonus episode. We're going to fit this one in. It is the Agnostic Front Echoes in Eternity album breakdown. We'll talk about the record, how it was made, the songs with Vinny Stigma, bass player Mike Gallo, Mike DeJean, who produced it, and special guests. Sunday, March 22nd, LA Hardcore Punk Rock Represents. Speaking of Black Flag, Bill Stevenson of Black Flag All, and the Descendants will be on the show. Dee Dee Verney from Overkill, Sunday, March 29th. Speaking of the Grateful Dead, Brian Fair of Shadows Fall will be on Sunday, April 5th. Joey Chithead of DOA will be on talking about his film that he directed, Something Better Change. And then we have Wayne from Hatebreed on Sunday, April 19th. This isn't announced yet, but ID has a record coming out. We're going to do a Wednesday show. We're going to talk about the ID record that's coming out. We're going to bring on the producer, Neil Zum Osberg. We're going to play tracks from the record. We're going to bring on everybody who's real close to the band and everything, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Once again, post your questions right now, please, for Steve Berlin. Now is the time. Please post up. I think, want to mention supporting the show. I might be preaching to the converted a bit, but there's the QR code. Please scan it. Show always needs your support. There's the Patreon page, the PayPal. There's also a super chat function. If you want to do a super chat thing for a couple bucks, it comes through in color. Ask a question. I can't miss it. Sometimes I miss a couple of the questions because I'm doing literally 300 things at once. But I've gotten used to it and I'm getting pretty good at it. That said, please post questions. What else? The new ID single, New York City's dropping Friday, May 27th. The single and the music video, so look out for that. Follow me on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. And if you're watching the show on YouTube on a rerun, please click right there and subscribe. Subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube page. And also, if it's not too much to ask, lean over, give the show a thumbs up, give the show a heart, give it a like, something like that. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's see some questions. And let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Steve Berlin. Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. So let's see what we got. Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. Thank you, Francis. Many bands have appeared on The Simpsons over the years. Los Lobos was one of them. How did the producers approach the band, and what's the process like?
That's a good question. So they approached us about doing the theme song, which is a very complex song. As you know, if you're a musician, it's got multiple key and time changes, which is not exactly our forte.
Right.
So there was it was kind of a challenge, but we pulled it off. And so my funny story about that is, so my kids were raised on The Simpsons. They love The Simpsons.
Sure.
So
sure.
We get this offer to do the song, and they wrote us into the script. We did not see the script, but they said, you're going to be in the show. And I thought, this is great. My kids are, I could tell my kids I'm on the road. We're playing somewhere, I think on the East Coast. And so the show goes off, and so the show happens. We're on stage. I go backstage, call my wife, and she picks up the phone, and I hear my daughter. I have two daughters, and they're crying their eyes out. They're just
Aww.
like, I could hear them in the back, like, and I'm like, and I expect to be like the, like the hero, like we're on on their favorite show, and I'm like, what the hell? What's going on there? My wife goes, here. She hands the phone to my daughter. I said, sweetie, what's going on? She goes, you didn't tell us you died. And in the show, Homer, we're on a balloon, and Homer shoots us down. And I never saw the script. And so my kids thought that, I mean, they were little kids. So
Aww.
yeah. So that happened.
Right.
But we didn't really interact with any of the Simpsons people, but like a couple of months after we do it, there's a big box comes to my door, and in the box is like so much Simpsons swag, you can't even fucking believe it. There was, oh my god, there was like a leather jacket, like
Aww.
15 t-shirts, playing cards. There was like a whole Simpsons poker thing, like with the chips and the whole thing, which I still have somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just like, coffee cup. Like it was like I could have opened a Simpsons store with all the stuff they sent.
Dad's our hero. Dad's,
Yeah, right.
We love him. Laura, yeah, you remember that episode? Everyone's saying, "Wow, okay,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
yeah." This is an interesting one. I'm going to go with this. Can Steve explain the relationship between Los Lobos and the state of Texas? Does the Mexican American communities play a huge part?
Well, to the extent that there's more Mexican Americans in the crowd, so yeah. We just love Texas. I mean, it's been one of our, I guess, as a state, probably our most profound influence from Texas blues guys and norteño music, and it's, I guess, to a certain extent, we borrow a lot from them, and so they kind of maybe, I hope, appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it is a special relationship. You're exactly right. But I don't think it's anything more than just shared love of the music, and that's an influence that we're very proud of, and we wear it. We try to respect the music because it is such a big part of what we do, and has always been.
Right on. I'm not sure. Are there any great Lee Allen tales you can speak of? Excuse my ignorance. I'm not sure. Lee Allen?
So Lee Allen was the sax player in the Blasters, but he was most notably known he was the guy that played all the solos on the Little Richard records and Fats Domino, like everything that came out of New Orleans in the mid 60s into.
So he was a little older than you.
A little older than, he was,
yeah.
But such a gentleman. And I literally think of him every day. I'm not kidding.
Aww.
Every time I play, I think about him. He was just a true gentleman. And he enjoyed partying, and like he was, obviously he was what, 20 years older than us, maybe more, but he was right there with us every step of the way. And, you know, he had really enjoyed, I think he really enjoyed his time with the Blasters. I mean, what could be better? I don't think he was doing much before the Blasters called him. You know, once we were all, you know, once the band sort of like coalesced, that was, you know, 2 or 3 years of incredible music, and they certainly venerated him. I mean, he was the star of the show as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, funny for shareable stories. I would just say this. He was one of the finest. He was just such a gentleman. He was just such a wonderful spirit. I just remember my wife just saying, like, he's always so nice to me. And like a lot of times, like, you know, the women don't, like, everybody's so impressed that we're there. Like, they don't, like, musicians just talk to each other and the wives talk to each other. And Lee would really go out of his way of like engaging everybody in conversation and making everybody feel like they're his friend. It was always just a beautiful learning lesson on how to be a gracious human.
That's awesome. You know, you reminded me of something, and I'm going to come back to it. Is that my experience with my first exposure to sax? My dad did a record in I think in the late 50s, and I'm going to play a little clip of it because the sax player, I'm sure you know who this is, but it was only until I was a little bit grown up and knew a little bit about music that I realized, you know, who this guy is. But this is a pretty incredible.
Teacher who would turn into a creature after class. I had a science teacher who would turn into a creature after class. After school one day I thought of climbing up a wall and laughing like a crazy man and having a ball. I had a science teacher who would turn into a creature after class. He was mild and gentle like a kitty cat, filling up the testers with this and that. But one day I caught him after school, picking up the testers and becoming a ghoul. I had a science teacher who would turn into a creature after class. I had a science teacher who would turn into a creature after class. Goodbye, science teacher. You played real cool. So long, science teacher. You're a crazy fool. Goodbye, science teacher. The word got around that he flipped his wig. The principal told him he lost his gig. A doctor came in and took a lot of notes and called a couple of cats dressed in little white coats. Goodbye, science teacher.
Wow.
My dad, 1958.
Wow.
It wasn't until later he's like, "Yeah, I worked with King Curtis." I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, "What?"
Oh man, that's amazing.
Isn't
My
that
son
wild?
turned into a creature after class. That's genius. What can I say?
You know, that's
I'm just genius.
That was that era where they had like those great like regional records.
Wow.
That you know, it got 20 plays in on this stage. Oh, I thought you'd get it. I thought you'd get a kick of that. You know,
that's pretty amazing. It really is. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Let's see. Let's do a couple more. I know you're on the clock, so
fine. It's all good.
We'll do. Okay. Let's not go there. Ernie Marino asks, "Hey Steve, would you consider playing at a Holly Gully reunion possibly later this year?" I'm not sure what is a Holly. I'm not sure.
Holly Gully was a rehearsal place in Atwater Village in LA that still. I mean, it was sort of like everybody rehearsed there back in the early days when there wasn't a lot of other places to rehearse.
Sure.
So X Blasters, when the Flesh Eaters reunions were happening, we would rehearse there. It's just kind of a legendary
Is
place.
that in Hollywood?
It's sort of like would it be north of? It's like kind of on the way from Hollywood to like Pasadena, if you know.
I remember Cole, but
yeah, so it would be like where Dodger Stadium is. It's right by
see.
Dodger Stadium, like
Yeah,
kind of
Pasadena,
like
yeah.
like out whatever you call that, like
Yeah.
where the freeways all come together. It's right out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, it's funny. We did a party for the release of the Top Jimmy record, and I saw a lot of people there. It was Axel from the Gears was there.
Wow.
A lot of folks from that era came to the party, so we practically had a Holy Gully reunion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me ask. This is a call coming from me. You know, one of the incredible things about Los Lobos is it's a rare instance where it's like the same guys have been together since like '82, and that's just that is unheard of. Actually,
since '73.
Yeah, but I guess those.
I guess with me, with me.
Yeah,
right. So, true.
Yeah, but wow, I mean that's unheard of in not just rock and roll, but in music in general. And you know, from being in a band myself, and my take on it has to be like you guys got to love each other, and there's got to be you guys got to really just love spending time with each other and all these years. And like you said earlier, you kind of answered it. You know, there's never been any fists thrown, and people respect each other. Like, what? How do you do it for so long with the same people, and how does that work?
Well, it's a family first and foremost, and like every family, it's not all puppies and rainbows. I mean, obviously, we have our ups and downs, and people drive us crazy. But I would say a couple things. We don't really hang out a lot when we're not on the road. So everybody has all the space they need to breathe and do their own stuff, and you know, be with their families and do what they want to do. And like in my case, you know, I go produce records and do other stuff, play with other bands. So it's never been. No one's ever had an unfulfilled ambition outside of what we do together. Whatever you want to do, like the Latin Playboys, David Louis did a project called Latin Playboys. Caesar's put out a couple of solo records. So it's not like it's a cult. We get to breathe and you know, go outside the group and do other stuff. But I think the real reason why it's lasted, there are a couple of reasons. I think number one, we're all sort of, I mean, it's a really bad parable, but you know, we are mate for life guys. Like we're all still with our first wives. No one's been divorced. I mean, Caesar had something else happen, but you know, we're all still with the same people. We're not shopping for a better deal or a newer model or a faster, sleeker version of what we have. We are for better. We're like wolves. We've made for life. So I think that's a big part of it, that we're not out trying to, you know, find some other anything. And I really think that the most important thing I think to think about with us is that, so there's like 7 years when the band was playing the folkloric music, 7 to 9 years where they got to work out all their shit and become a unit and grow up. Like they started when they were children, then they had children, so they had to kind of be adults.
Yeah.
And they got to do all this stuff way outside. Like I said earlier, like when they played with the Blasters the night that I officially met them, it was like, how could this band have, like, where the fuck did these guys come from? How could someone this developed and fully formed appear out of the sky, evidently? Like there was just it was just remarkable. And I think a lot of what keeps us, why we're still together, is, thank God, please, health, number one. But it was those early formative years where they got to be and figure out who they were and figure out how to deal with each other and just get that out of the way when nobody was looking. Like these days, if you and I started a band tonight, you know, everybody would be all up in our shit from the first moment because there'd be somebody with a fucking camera or a phone you know, filming every fucking mistake that we made. And that's the thing that I think is kind of lost in modern cultures. It's really hard to make mistakes off the radar. If you're gonna, if it's out there in the world or you're playing, like everything you do is pretty much filmed in some way these days. So it's
a
hard,
different world.
It's hard to grow in an organic way without the pull of people telling you stuff. And thank God the guys got 7 or 8 years with nobody had any idea who or what they were, right. And they got to work all this stuff out and grow.
That's awesome. It's a different world now. That's for sure.
It's harder. I think it's harder to you don't. I mean, the good news is you can go out and play everywhere, and you're like, if you make something great, it's out there instantly, and the whole world knows about it. But it's really hard to connect the dots when you can't do it. It's hard to make great art in public. You know what I mean? Like some guys can really do it. Obviously, there's many people, but like when you're starting out, we're trying to learn literally like where your hands go. I know if somebody was there filming every one of my shitty sax solos growing up, I'd be mortified. Yeah. So it's and we have, I mean, we're like any other, we've had some horrible shows, and we've shat the bed numerous times, but we got to do it in an era when it wasn't all public overnight.
Yeah. That makes sense. What's the future looking like? I know that there's a Los Lobos doc that's been in the works for many years, and I must say I'm a big fan of the director, being a music director myself. Doug Blush is damn good. His film 20 Feet from Stardom won an Oscar for Best Documentary Film a bunch of years ago. It's a very good film. If anybody out there hasn't seen it, it's about backup singers. But I saw that I watched the trailer and saw like the whole bit. I mean, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and that is kind of what this year is going to be about. To be honest with you, it's so the premiere of the movie is going to be at South by Southwest next month.
Right on.
And that'll be the official premiere. Then we're going to be doing promotional. Like we'll show up at film festivals. So I know we just booked. I just saw one earlier today that we're going to be at one around Boston. So that's going to be the focus for the next year or so. Like seeing where that goes and what happens and how it gets received. Because the way stuff works now is you make the movie and then you sell it. So we don't even know. Like people ask me like, where can I see it? We don't know yet. Like that's what you go to South by Southwest, and then I hope we're all fingers crossed somebody will say, here's a bunch of money. We're going to have it on our network. So it'll be on Netflix or YouTube or whatever it is.
That's right.
That's how the game is played. But I have to say, like my concern going into it was, I mean, I have lots of great stories. I've told some of them here, but like, I don't know if I could fill a movie of stories. And we've had our ups and downs, but to me, I was concerned about like, what's the narrative arc? It's like what's like how do you, I mean, 5 guys who stuck together through thick and thin and played a bunch of shows and made a couple of records. Like what's the ebb and flow of this? Sure. What happens in Act 2 that makes you want to watch Act 3?
Do we really have to watch a Valentine, as they say? Like,
well, what Doug did, which I found pretty fascinating, is he found drama in some of the choices that we made and some of the moves that we did, like making Kiko, like making the Pistola record, like just like the times that we sort of had to push for something that we saw that maybe other people not necessarily would have seen our way. And it becomes a very dramatic story. I was frankly kind of knocked out because I think, like I said again, like how are you going to make us seem dramatically intriguing? And somehow, some way, Doug figured out a way to do it. So I'm very happy with the movie. We all are. We're looking forward to actually seeing it because the version we saw wasn't quite finished. So I get to see the finished movie and we'll see what happens.
That's great, man. I'm really looking forward to it. The trailer looked great, and of course, I come from that world a bit, so I always enjoy seeing what other filmmakers, when they reach which I'm sure you as a producer, when they reach that crossroad, hey, how's this guy handling this? Like you said, that's what when I see a doc film, having done a couple myself, it's like, okay, he's at a crossroads. Which way is he going to go? What's he going to do?
It's I've watched a lot of those. I've seen even docs of people I really like that they get very dry. And like it's after a while, it's just like, who the hell's going to give a shit about this outside of the hardcore fans? And this is not a movie. It's not about like, I think it's enjoyable. What I saw, I found very enjoyable, like trying to be as objective as I could be, just because it does. And whatever else you can say about us is we have persevered. I mean, 50 whatever years, it's there is something to be said for literally just lasting this long and not ODing or anything else. Is a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. No, it's big. It's like, what's the bigger picture? Always in a film, it's like, hey, is it about the guys that sang La Bamba, or like what's the bigger picture here? Like the story of Anvil is not about the band Anvil. It's really about the friendship between the two guys, or the film I directed. Who the fuck is that guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Lago. Like it's not about the guy who signed Metallica. It's about a kid that, regardless of his upbringing, just loved music, and that transcended every. So it's big picture stuff. What's the bigger picture? Yeah, and that's going to bring people to the party, and Doug Blush has the ability to do that. Yeah,
I hope you enjoy it. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah. So as we wrap it up, I just want to mention one more time, everybody, what brought Steve to the show was the Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs, Piggus Drunkus Maximus, that has been re-released after many years. It's a fantastic record. There is the QR code. Blind Owl Records put it out. There's a fantastic 16-page booklet with many photos by Gary Leonard. Go out and get it. It's really, 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 really great. So that said, also, as we wrap it up, Eric Nathan says, I played with Steve in his first Philly band. Still dear friends. Saw him 2 weeks ago in Vermont. Love him in all the Lobos.
Yeah, that's my oldest and best buddy right there.
Aw, that's great. Vermont? Were Lobos up in Vermont?
We played in Maine, and whenever I get close to his place, I always try and stop by and hang out. And he's got a great restaurant called Solo. Well, his son-in-law has a great restaurant called Solo, another one called Honey Pie there. So we tend to eat quite well over there.
In Vermont?
Yeah.
In where, Brattleboro or?
Solo is in South Londonderry, and Honey Pie is at the base of Stratton. I forget what the name of that town is, but it's right where the road that goes up to the ski mountain is.
I lived in Vermont for a couple years. Beautiful, beautiful part of the country.
Oh, it's great. I love it too.
In the spring, summer, and fall.
Yes. I was there. It was minus. Eric will remember. It was like -9, and we were on a long walk that day. It was tough, but we did it. We did a couple of miles.
I was up there for a couple of years. Hey, I knew it was going to be great, Steve. I was so excited to have you coming on. Is there anybody you want to thank? Is there anybody you want to shout out?
Well, for the Jimmy record, I have to shout out Dave Tourget and Dan Perloff, who were the ones who were really pushed hard to make it happen. They had been approaching me for years, like trying to make it happen, and I wasn't against it certainly, but I said I have no idea where the tapes are. Like, none of us thought anything we were doing back then was going to be important in 20 years, much less 20 days. I mean, it was very just go fast and break shit. So we weren't really concerned about posterity. So they deserve an enormous amount of credit. And Josh Mills, who you shouted out earlier, who has been incredible. The press support for this thing has been unbelievable, just unbelievable. How like a record that, a band that's never going to play again, probably never. Well, definitely. To have this kind of support and this kind of attention is just, it's mind-boggling. So yeah, lots of thanks to all those guys.
Yeah, and big shout out to Josh Mills, who it does a great job, man. He really does.
Yeah,
and
he does.
That's how you came across the radar screen. I said, hey man, any chance? Love to I want to talk to this guy.
He's got me hopping, but it's all good, man. I'm happy. It's great to go back and talk about all these crazy people that I got to work with. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Steve, all the best to you and your family. I know Lobos are coming. You guys are coming this way. I'll reach out to Josh or whatever. Maybe me and my wife could come down and say hi. So
please do. I'd love to meet you in person, man. That'd be great.
Thank you, Steve. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that's what's up. Steve Berlin, everybody. You know, this was the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Let's bring Lori back on in a second. But hey, we're sponsored by blah, 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 and Minty Fresh presents. They're a promotion company that put on hardcore metal shows in Locals Bar in Manalapan, New Jersey. Founded by Chris Golis of Bulldoze and Frankie DeAngelis of Silence Equals Death. The shows are all ages with plenty of free parking. The kitchen's open all night and the bar till 2 a.m. If you're a band looking to play and you don't totally friggin' suck, or if you do suck but draw a fuckload of people, reach out to them at mintyfreshpresents@gmail.com. Ticket pre-sales for events are available at mintyfreshnewjersey.com. Check them out on Instagram at mintyfreshnewjersey and help spread the word to support DIY hardcore and metal in Central New Jersey. Minty Fresh Presents. Come on now, She Devil's Coven is a female-owned entrepreneur business based out of Connecticut. Owner Rachel King Keys handcrafts soil wax candles set with intentions for your sanctuaries. She's accomplished a life goal dream since beauty school, debuting her artist showcase Hotties and Hellions. It features live bands, burlesque, sideshow acts, vendors, food trucks, and this year, a live auction with all proceeds going to the mental health program Punk Rock Saves Lives. Catch her in the tri-state area doing her thing, slinging candles at events, and keep an eye out for her show coming to New York in the spring of 2026. You can find her on Etsy and on Instagram. Last but certainly not least, cousin of Vinny Stigma, Joe Ramini's Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm, and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, hey, Lori Dawn, what do you say?
That was a great interview. That was really good.
Well,
that was really good. I was surprised. No, I'm just kidding. No,
we're just trying to figure this thing out, you know?
I know.
I'm getting kind of good at it.
It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it was a little touch and go in the beginning. But no, I mean, the two things that really struck me about this guy was, one, when he was talking about the song, you know, he was saying that, like, you know, the biggest hit song, the one that people always want to hear at the concert and stuff like that, he was like grateful for it, you know, and not all musicians have that, you know, you know, that attitude. And I mean, I've even been to some bands where they're like, you know, we're not going to play our biggest song. Fuck you. We have other songs, you know?
Well, that's sort of why I went to like, has this thing, because that I think that happens more so than not. Yeah. That's why I was kind of like, hey, has this thing been an albatross around your neck? Or, and, you know, that's why part of the reason I was so excited to do this show with him is my perception of this band has always been that they're righteous, honorable, and good people. And of course, they've been really embraced by sort of the Grateful Dead family. And that says a lot right there. So I was stoked for this.
Yeah, and the other thing is that just that they've been together for so long, and you know,
it's incredible
about that, you know, just like any other relationship, you know, and the fact that none of them got divorced, that says a lot. There's like the certain type of person, you know, to like stick it out and communicate through problems, I guess, you know.
It's incredible. Hey, don't you have, isn't this Doll Fest thing coming up? What's that about?
Yeah, so Doll Fest is a celebration of feminine energy. It is a 2.5-day festival. They have a pre-party on Friday night, and then it goes Saturday, Sunday, March 28th and 29th. It's being held out in Oakland, and it's got some pretty good bands on there. Bad Cop, War on Women. And also a lot of the bands that we featured previously on Women of the Pit, like 18 Fevers. Mm-hmm. We featured them on your show. They were from South Korea.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're coming over for it. And it's going to be, that's their pre-party. So Skip the Needle, Last Minute, Beneath You, Wonderland Rejects. We're going to be featuring a lot of these shows on the Women of the Pit a lot of these bands on the Women of the Pit page so people can kind of get to know them and follow along. But it's going to be really cool if you're in the Oakland area, Oakland, California. It's going to be a good 3 days out.
Here's the other day, right? It's a lot of bands, man.
Yeah. So,
Oakland, that the Bay Area happens, man. I mean, like I said, we played out there. It was fantastic. Bay Area is
they've got Vile headlining this one. That's a band that's blowing up. Voluntary Hazing. That's a band that we also featured on our page recently. So, yeah, it's a really great group of people to work with. So, we're happy to help them spread the word about it. So it's all fest.
And the next time you're co-hosting a show with me is going to be Dee Dee Verney of Overkill.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know you love this band.
I love this band. I'm seeing them 2 days before this interview. So I have like a day in between to like recover. And
where are you seeing them play?
Worcester. Yeah, Worcester Palladium.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. Sense. And that's with Gina, who manages the Worcester Palladium, also used to be their tour manager.
That's right. We had dinner with her. Didn't we all have dinner with her at the right?
Yep, at the pizza place.
At the Biohazard with Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. She's a great lady and really interesting. Has some good stories.
Cool. All right. Well, damn, that was some good work. And everybody, I will see you on Sunday, and this is going to be great. Did you read this?
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's really.
I haven't had time.
Smart book. Smart guy, smart book.
Yeah, I'm dying to read it because, he basically builds an empire over his, off of his hate for the Yankees. It's incredible. Pretty much. Yeah. I love it.
And they sent me a pre-copy, and Larry gave it, and I read it, and then he just sent me this really nice copy with all these great color pictures. And the pre-copy I had didn't have any pictures or anything. I was like, wow, cool.
Yeah, no, I gotta read it. I mean, and I'm even a Yankees fan, but I mean, you gotta respect the hustle there.
That's right. You gotta respect the hustle. No, you gotta respect the hustle.
Absolutely, it's incredible.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
All right. That's that. New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 416. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. Hey, Sean McMalley, thank you, and Stefan, and just everybody out there. What a great show today. I love doing the show. I'm very fortunate, and I'm grateful. So until next time, do good things, and good things will come.
You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty.